This is Dan Jurgens, and if you want to have a good time, keep listening to the Krypton Report.
Jason J. Lewis, the voice of Superman on Justice League Action, and you're listening to the Krypton Report.
Welcome to the Krypton Report podcast. I am Tyler, the Superman of Blue, the Man of Tomorrow, and with me is my co-host James, the Superman of Red, the Man of Steel, Cole, and we salute to
your
whatever.
Shorts.
To shorts.
Oh, don't you remember that old show?
Yes.
Was it Salute Your Shorts?
Camp on Awana. We're showing how old we are.
Yeah.
And also, I'm Tim, the Tool Man Taylor. With me, as always, my James Al Borland. Dude, that straight up is right, too. Tyler, you okay there? Yeah, I need to go to the ER, James. Let's get
I don't think so, Tyler.
All right. I don't have a whole lot of news, but we do got a couple of things. It's being reported that Supergirl will be the highlight of the Warner Brothers CinemaCon panel. There is this new thing called the Superman Experience at the Warner Brothers tour, which I really don't know how I feel about it. Our good friend Brad and I were talking about this the other day, because you're basically in a room with Superman trying to help him and Krypto fight Apocalypse, because like you see a version of Darkseid or something, and like you're punching at stuff on a screen. It looks kind of cool and cheap at the same time. It looks like a pop-up thing. But then they showed pictures of like the little Superman gift shop there, and then the food they had.
The gift shop looked really cool.
My favorite was the pretzel shaped in the Superman symbol at the Superman Experience. I feel like it should be like something that goes on tour. Yeah, we're taking the Superman shop on tour.
Sounds like a good idea to me.
Yeah, me too. The other thing is, I really wish I was at Metropolis for Supergirl Day, because it said they have a lot of cool stuff going on. So this is going to drop the Friday before Supergirl Day. Usually, in the past, the kids and I, back when they really highlighted Superman Day in June, and then they finally, DC got their stuff together and put it in April, we used to make Super Day specials. We'd take like the whole month leading up, because like it was something we did in the summer. And we don't really have a whole lot planned for this year, because it just kind of crept up on us after Sayla's birthday and some other life-changing events that have occurred. And I feel like, I guess like I messaged some of my comic shops and stuff if they're doing anything special for it. And I guess there's like DC's doing like events, but I feel like they could do more and it wouldn't take a lot of effort. But I guess there's supposed to be some one-shot comics appearing in stores for the day. But like Batman Day, they used to do like they'd have cool masks they'd pass out, or like even Wonder Woman Day had some stuff like that in shops. But there are like events going around like in California and other places. But at the Super Museum on Friday, they're having photo ops with cosplayers. They're having superhero stand up for children in Superman Square, dinner with cosplayers, and then a Periwinkle Kryptonite Superman dance party. Then on Saturday, they're doing a walk for autism awareness with mascots at the park, classic car cruise in at the Super Museum, photo ops with cosplayers, karaoke star Superman Museum, trivia hosted by Yuri the Riddler at the Super Museum. I actually was made to stop doing trivia when we were there for Superman's celebration. My wife told me I had to. Q&A with Superman, Jake Fogg. He's a cosplayer, which I don't think he deserves the title of being Superman, but whatever. And then they're showing James Gunn's Superman, I guess, outside at the Super Museum from 8 to 9:45, which seems really like short because the movie's 2 hours. But it looks rad. You know what I'm saying? Like a community thing for Superman Day. And I'm just like, man, I wish if I would have had more. Just for anyone who doesn't know, Jania and Solomon were in a really bad car wreck, and we've been dealing with that as a family. So that's been something. So like, it's just really thrown off a lot of just the past weeks and everything. Cleveland is supposed to be doing something. Cleveland City Council passes a resolution honoring the Man of Steel and his hometown creators on April 18th. So I'm not sure if they're going to do anything special in Cleveland, but I can't get up there because it's a long drive and I have to take care of my children because I'm a good parent. I don't know if we touched on this, but
Right, what we sacrifice for our kids.
I know they don't even get it. They don't even get it. There's going to be a carnival. They're actually going to have a carnival and attractions at the Superman Museum this year during Superman Celebration. So I really do want to try to get back there this year. Let's see. Did I already tell you that Tim Daly and Neva Howe are going to be at Superman Celebration? Did we already talk about that? I can't remember. Everything runs together anymore.
Yeah, I know we talked about it. I just can't remember if it was on air or not.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. My brain's going. I am getting old.
But yeah, I mean, that would be great. I think you did because like
I usually try to keep good track of everything, but I feel like I'm falling apart. And then last time we talked about Supergirl, the comic, and I totally forgot to mention how they made her into a studded belt, and I loved it. And I just want to say that again because studded belt Supergirl was pretty cool. It felt very early 2000s, and that's my time, and that just makes me feel even older. Might as well just roll over and die. So
I started playing some music because I heard Freshman in the car. And
oh, nice.
So I put it up on Spotify and it did a whole playlist following that of similar songs. And Jamie was like, "Oh my God, what is that?" And it's before her time.
You're like,
that was
It was all like 90s. It was all like late 90s, early 2000s.
yeah, it's so crazy. Like the late 90s, like when we were like the little kids trying to listen to big kid stuff. And then
Verb Pipe, Gin Blossoms, who else was on there? Dishwalla.
Nice.
It was the same band.
Blues Travelers,
Dishwalla or Jim Blossoms has the greatest. Anywhere you go, I will follow you down. I'll follow you down, but not that far.
Yeah, right.
Lazy. So yeah, okay. Everyone's like, "Shut up, you old guys." I'm like, not that old. Bring me my cane. We're gonna talk Superboy. We're getting towards the end of season 4. James is a little bit more fresher in this because I watched them the other day. Then, of course, what's funny is I came home from work Friday, so pumped. Like, I'm gonna do 2 podcasts a day. I got one with James and one to do with Logan. And then both of you are like, "Hey, can we change it?" Sure. To Saturday.
Aww.
Then Saturday comes. "Hey, can we change it?" Sure. You both moved to Sunday. And I'm like, well, poop.
I got up in the morning and I looked at stuff and I started thinking about things. I was like, we got storms coming in. I've got only today to get this gardening stuff done out there to move the beds in. And
that's why I don't garden. I just say, nah. Okay, speaking of gardening or storms, we watched Twisters with Selah, and she loved it because she's been having this huge thing with storms. And like we were talking about how Glenn Powell should have been Hal Jordan before they made him old on Lanterns. But then I talked about how much cooler would it have been a twist in Twisters is if Glenn Powell was actually the son of Bill Paxton and Helen Hunt's character. And the whole reason he really was like into Kate, part of it is because she reminded him so much of his parents, who died chasing a tornado when he was young.
Yeah.
Yeah, retconning. I'm awesome.
I mean, it seems like a no-brainer on that one.
Yeah, because everyone thought, oh, she's the daughter because she looks just like him. But no, let's subvert that crap. And yes, welcome to the Twisters podcast. I am Twister number 1, Tyler the Tornado, and this is James the Jamboree. I don't know. Okay, so we got a couple of Red Tornado. Yeah, the Red Tornado. I swear, if I ever write comics, I'm writing Blue Tornado. I swear, he's gonna be my first addition to DC.
There you go.
West of Alpha Centauri. Superboy is kidnapped by an alien force and taken to a paradise planet near Alpha Centauri. Will he ever return? Yeah. So Alpha Centauri is supposed to be the closest planet system that we may be able to inhabit. I haven't done my research in forever. But I just remember Alpha Centauri from the old 1950s/60s TV show Lost in Space.
There you go. Yeah, I mean that's the supposed theory is that it's the closest planet to the nearest solar system and the nearest galaxy that they believe would be able to support a human life.
What did you think about this episode?
I had a lot of fun with this episode. The overacting was
awesome.
It came from everywhere. It was
Saturday.
So funny. It was
like Saturday
great.
morning after school special type acting.
The woman with the whip listing off all the different names of the different races of people. I mean, the episode was very the people in power are going to do everything they can to keep you divided so you can't rise against them.
Yep. Yep. It's been a little bit since I watched this one because I was waiting on James. You know, there's that song by what's his face? Chris. Oh yeah, Daughtry, Waiting for Superman. Yeah, my song is Waiting for James. So I'm just but
sometimes it's true.
Yeah, life. It's all good. But the next episodes, it's 2 of them because we're gonna talk about them together. It's a part, and I, this is what the episodes are named, people. Threesome.
Part 1
and 2.
Part 1.
Not even a 3-parter. How are you gonna name it Threesome and not only have it as a 2-parter?
Right.
But directed by
for them
David.
to produce a 2-parter is a lot back in the
Dude,
mix.
they could have stretched it. Just throw in 10 more minutes of film, put in a little bit more, pad the credits a little, and everything. You got 3 episodes. They're only 22-minute episodes, 21-minute episodes. Film,
Yep.
You could easily stretch this as a 3-parter over 3 days. Each one make it like
1 hour.
Make it like the Young Sheldon where they're 16-minute episodes. Remember that? Towards the end, Young Sheldon episodes under 20 minutes. And they're just
That's crazy.
And I was like, what the heck? I think I'm streaming this. But Threesome Part 1. Writer is Stan Berkowitz. Both parts directed by David Nutter.
That's got to be why watching Young Sheldon goes by so quickly.
Yeah, because they were
so short.
They knew what they were doing. I mean, easily this could be. A prison psychiatrist helps Lex Luthor and Metallo escape, all 3 quickly turning their attention to stopping Superboy once and for all. Now this should be called Team Up, or the Terrible 3, not Threesome.
Right.
But
brought Metallo back. In those hockey pads.
I'm not wearing
they're
hockey pads.
Right. They're mangled hockey pads,
Mm-hmm.
So that was funny. Lex Luthor, I mean, it's always good to see Sherman Howard in his craziness.
He's so
Lex
underrated.
Luthor.
But he's so underrated, but he's so good.
I've gotten to appreciate him. The first few times he showed up, I was like, holy crap.
Like I said, these latter 2 seasons, man, he really has taken on his own. I like seeing.
But isn't that and then Odessa? She's a returning character, so
Yeah, but not anyone like we all know. Like she's the the third part, and I mean, I'm just saying that the jokes write themselves here. We're not going to go down that rabbit hole, but come on.
yeah.
And then
I mean, yeah, it was.
I mean, Stan Berkowitz wrote both episodes. In the second part, Superboy continues to battle the newly formed threesome of Lex Luthor, Metallo, and Dr. Odessa Vexman. As their destructive potential continues to rise, Superboy must stop them before it's too late.
So they got over on Superboy, though.
Yeah, they did.
They ran him out of town. Got him, with Kryptonite and Lex Luthor's sonic device.
Which episode was your favorite?
1 or 2.
Mm-hmm.
There's a couple of things I like about both. Maybe part 2 because Lana got to throw down.
Lana is awesome. And then the last episode we watched was Out of Luck, which is really Superboy continues to battle evil in Out of Luck. Great, most generic summary of all time. And
Yeah, that's anything.
Yeah, that's like Superboy continues to battle evil in Threesome. Superboy continues to battle evil in season 1, season 2, season 3.
Right.
Season 4.
I was gonna say, I think they got that with back in the day with the never-ending fight for truth and justice.
Yeah. But what did you think of Out of Luck?
I enjoyed seeing that we got a returning security guard. That was funny. And him ignoring Superboy while he's holding up a building. Superboy kind of having to yell at him after telling him 3 times.
The people. So. All right. Yeah, I watched them and I vaguely remember because, like I said, I hate that it's just been a little bit of time since I watched them because just with James and I's schedule, it didn't line up real great. So, but yeah, it's been fun watching this season of Superboy because I feel like it just keeps getting better. And it is kind of weird because you're like, when you start it, you're like, oh, but then as it goes on, like, you know what, this is getting better. I do enjoy this. And then it ends. And you're like, huh, all good things must come to an end. And then James went silent. Can you not hear me, James? We're going to have to pause this for a break from our sponsor. Okay, we had some technical difficulty there, people, so we're not sure what just happened. We've had some storms in the area recently, like James was talking about. We might have lost some power or something, but we're going to jump into some comics now. And we're going to start with The Absolute. Now, what's funny is, I have to bring up this. So the other night, Janine and I were talking, and she asked me a question, right? And I kept being like, yeah, okay. She goes, why won't you give me any answers with absolutes? And I turned and I looked at it and I was like, only a Sith deals in absolutes. And now we're reading Absolute Superman, so I thought that was funny.
Yeah,
but
that's a good pull. That'll make her roll her eyes at you. And...
Oh, she laughed. I told my friend at work, and he goes, well, did you cut her legs off? I was like, no, I didn't.
It's like, I'm not trying to keep her that locked up yet.
Yeah. You know, I'm really enjoying Absolute Superman. I like when they tell us when an arc comes and goes. Like this little arc is like 3 issues. So, you know, we're doing that now. But the second arc for that story was super long. I mean, the whole Lazarus and everything, like it was just super long. But
that went all the way through 14 issues.
Yeah. So the first one was like what, 5 issues? It was like 5 issues, then like 1 or 2 issues, and then the rest up until now, or something like that. And because it even had the annual, didn't it?
Did Super Absolute have that
Did
annual?
yeah?
I know Batman did.
Yeah, I know Batman did, and so did No, I don't think Superman's had an annual yet. No, it hasn't.
No. I went down the list and.
But we have a new artist. And in Central, we start where Clark Kal, Superman, is working on the farm in his overalls. We see him flying, and we see him going to stop a break in a dam, and he's talking to himself about all the things he's experienced, how they call him Superman. And then he goes and finds Mr. Shot, the toy man, and he melts. You know, he uses his heat vision and gets into his office, and he talks about how, where is it? There was another fire at one of your factories, the 4th fire in less than 2 years. Last time 73 workers died, some as young as 12. And you walked away with a fine and a slap on the wrist. You became a billionaire off the backs of children working 16-hour shifts, breathing lead and benzene, making toys that sell for more than what they are paid in a week. I mean, dude, I like this Superman in Absolute because it reminds me very much of it's like Golden Age Superman with modern Superman Days powers.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah, he does. It very much is Golden Age Superman. He fights for the little guy. He fights for regular justice.
No. He says, none of you are untouchable. Not to me. I'll be watching. He goes back to the Nevada desert where Brainiac was, finds his remains, burns it down, goes and visits Ra's al Ghul in prison in Pakistan.
Well, yeah, I mean, he is Ra's. He is throughout this. Is it this issue or is it this arc?
It's this arc
where he is getting older.
It's a whole arc because you see some in the issue, but
yeah, that's what I was wondering if it was all in this issue or if it was across the 3. Yeah, he starts out here very, still very mean, still very nasty and horrible, young and real big and everything as he has been, very Vandal Savage looking, but they've been calling him Ra's al Ghul.
It's like they amalgamized.
Yeah, but he actually does without the Lazarus treatments grow old and he's going to die. So it's at least not the immortality that we understand for Vandal Savage, just being like completely immortal for the most part.
Mm-hmm. But Superman shows up and he has a book. He talked about a few hundred years ago how he said that the world was heading for collapse and he was going to change it, but then he got misguided. And he says, I have a book of poems written by the children and everything that's out there. He talks about how the Krypton, the Log Gill, would just execute you or you'd never be seen again. He says their prayers, mantras, poems written by children from outside the slums, outside the jail, written for you. After their parents died in your copper mines or were beaten to death by your peacemakers. And so Vandal laughs in his face. And then,
Yep. Says he's gonna wipe his ass with his book.
and then
But he
the
says
next,
no, not. But he does. I like what he does. He says, "No, Rouse, not like that. You won't." And then he leaves the book outside of his cell, beyond his reach.
just that, yeah, about to say just out of reach. The next page took me like, just if you look at it, it looks like he's blowing fire, which he is, but at the same time, he says that fire in the Amazon, was that you? And he talks about how he swallowed the fire and then moved it to Kansas, where a couple fields were due for a controlled burn.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. I don't know how he kept the fire burning within him, but it's still pretty cool.
I'm just gonna say, dude, he's Superman.
Well, yeah. I mean, you just think that even with his lung capacity and things like that, like it would run out of fuel when he got it in as soon as he inhaled it.
And he's talking to Lois as they meet on a rooftop. When we see the Daily Planet building in the background, which I didn't think about that at first. The Daily Planet building, you know?
Yeah, I didn't even realize that they weren't standing on the Daily Planet building. Like they're actually standing on the building next to it.
I think sometimes I have to like try to remove myself of what we're actually reading. And then
Well, yeah, I mean, like realize that it's not the same world.
Uh-huh. And then as they're talking, he hears something and darts off and takes off to go save somebody. And it's really cool. And then he's back on the farm, and there's Lana bringing him another casserole, and he talks about how he's going to take these casseroles to some kids in the Sudan. And he goes flying, and she says, "You were in mourning, and I get it, but Martha was right. You belong in blue." And there's a really cool shot from the artist of him flying, but kind of like bent. And you see how his suit is designed. But this is where we go when he's back at Ra's al Ghul's prison, and he's reading the book to him. And then we see him, the tractor, and he's talking about all the stuff he comes and goes. And he does, and how we see Ra's getting older and older.
And during this whole time, while he's getting older and everything, he's being really violent and nasty, talking about how he's going to cut, he's going to gut everybody, the people who read in the book, and so he can feed it to the dogs. He's going to raise the slums to the ground and hang everybody he loves, like, all while he's there reading the poems to him.
The next page is my favorite. Like, and I swear that's the same panel. If we go to the one page where the second panel is him reading, and then you go over the bottom one, it's the same thing with just different words. But there's this beautiful part where it says, "There's a child in Thailand, body riddled with cancer, no family. She doesn't want to die alone, staring at the ceiling. So I make sure she doesn't." And we see him holding the child, looking at the mountains. He talks about how he says, "After the child dies in my arms, I spend the next hours alone in the stratosphere, screaming so loud it knocks satellites from orbit, screaming to try to drown out the screams. How long can I endure this?" And this is where we see Ra's really old, and he's actually starting to repeat the poems back. And then we see Clark with some red crystals and things growing in his barn. He says, "I am Kal-El of Krypton, Clark Kent of Kansas, Superman of Earth. They are all me." And then we see Ra's really old, starting to say them. And then the last page with Superman is Hawkman shows up. Absolute Hawkman. And he says, "What the hell do you think you're doing?" And where have we seen Absolute Hawkman before, James?
In Absolute Evil, he killed Oliver Queen.
Yes, he did.
I do love in this how how he's so Superman, how he's so good, so empathetic. Just he cares for everybody. But then the art style is actually really cool in some ways, especially the ways that the cape is being used. Like it's spidered out, looking kind of like Spawn's cape, when it's holding the dam together, when it's holding up the ship that he's rescuing out of the seas, and the collapsing bridge, how it's holding that up as well. It looks really cool. I like how they're using that.
And then we have somewhere in Missouri, we have Brainiac walking up to Lex Luthor's house. And it's literally just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 panels. It says The Never Ending Begins, Part 1 in blue.
Yes, sir. Absolute's a really good book.
Yeah, I like it a lot.
Yeah.
I really can't wait for the next issue because I really want to see how they're doing Absolute Shazam, which I don't know if it's Shazam or Black Adam, but how they're doing it.
Yeah, that'll be cool. We get a kind of tease here.
So you want to take it away with this one, James?
Yeah, number 16, Absolute Superman 16, opened in 1940s in the nation of Kahndaq. So that's where we get our... And this is a tomb of Teth Adam, so we get a lot of Black Adam here. But Carter Hall and somebody else is rappelling down into this tomb, and he says that he's being paid by the Nazis, and he cuts Carter's rope to send him to his death. But he catches onto a ledge and ultimately grabs the mace out of the wall, and he emerges from the well, surrounded by the peacemakers because he's there working for Lazarus, covered in blood with wings and a giant mace.
Yeah.
And then we cut to modern day now, where he is with Superman in the sky, telling him kind of how the way the world works, and what he should be doing, that he can't fight Lazarus, but he's trying to talk to him. Superman is disappearing and doing all kinds of saves.
Yeah, he's somehow you can't.
Well, he thinks some is saved, some's not. Like
he's basically like, you can't fight against him. Where are you going?
Thought a guy was choking, and he was just laughing weird.
That's hilarious. I love that. But like, he's basically that old man who's trying to tell you this is how the world really is, Sonny. And you're like, no, it's not. No, it's not. We see his face. He's got bandages like the Mummy, which I like. But then we go to Metropolis, Lazarus, and we see the Peacemakers, and it looks like the Peacemakers attack their own people who are moving a shipment, and all of a sudden we see these red squiggly things going up at this dude.
Yeah, I'm not sure what what that is. I mean, it seems horrifying.
We know what it is. We just want to spoil it.
Looks like they're going in his face.
It's like amoeba looking things. It's like,
oh, has it been a while since I read? Yeah, we saw it when it was killing them in.
We'll see that. No, we'll see this at the end of the issue. What that is?
Back when they first broke into Lazarus. Is it? Okay.
Yeah, it's the introduction of our new Superman character. So on the next one,
oh, gotcha. Okay, that's what that is. No, that makes sense.
It took me a minute to realize it too, so don't feel bad. But then we get them flying, and Hawkman's basically trying to keep up.
Well, I mean, Hawkman says like, don't do that again. Don't take off, and he snatches him with his cape and drags him with him. Instead of flying off to do whatever, he drags him along for the ride.
which is hilariously awesome.
Absolutely. And then Lois comes face to face with our absolute Perry White.
This is hilarious. So Lois, standing outside where he thinks the Daily Planet, and this dude walks out. He's talking about that used to be the Daily Planet. Now it's like condos. The real planet now exists in this small, crap, dilapidated building. He talks about how he used to be the managing editor on the desk. And then just got fired.
Yeah, he says, you know the story. Get rid of the grizzled old news hound who you got to pay a living wage so you can bring in some kid who will work for ramen money.
I mean, it's sadly the truth. But that's when we find out it's Perry. Which is like, oh, Perry, yay. Then we're like, oh, dang. But then we find out what, James? Because Lois is waiting to go inside for her interview.
Well, right after that, we get Jimmy Olsen messaging her, oh my God, just got a job at the Daily Planet. Any idea what a Metro desk editor does?
So he basically got hired.
He literally got Perry's job.
Yep. So, yay. Yay, Jimmy. What the heck, Jim? What the heck?
And then he says, do you hear a bunch of screaming?
Which is freaky.
And then we go back to Superman and Hawkman. He finally stops dragging him and he says, you see that? What is that thing? We better get... And Hawkman just hits him with the mace. So they start fighting each other. He uses his heat vision on him, blasts him, but this Hawkman is pretty badass.
Yeah, but he's also just old and brutal and just, like, hates life.
Well, yeah, I mean, he does. His view of the world. He's been working for Lazarus Corp. The way that this world works is, the one thing is Superman kind of doesn't have anybody like he cares about except for everybody. So, like somebody like Carter Hall, like at the time especially, he would have been like subjugated and made to do everything whether he wanted to or not, because there would be repercussions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, I mean, he is brutal, but he's like pathetic. He said, guess you figured you're so strong you don't got to learn how to actually throw a punch. He says, you're fast, sure, but fast and clumsy is still clumsy.
And that is true. I mean, that's where, like, Superman does need to learn how to fight, because it is important that he knows how to actually fight. Just because he's awesome doesn't mean, he can do everything.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Right. Well, he's never had to, and he's never had to fight anybody who could, like, he could spar with on a regular basis, I mean, that's a kind of a long time thing over the comics where Batman and Wonder Woman like train Superman to actually fight.
Yep.
Unless, like he travels the world and learns kung fu from masters all over the world.
I mean, I think that's cool. I'm completely down with that. So, but yeah. But then they're fighting.
But
he says,
we've got Project Parasite.
Yeah, he makes a comment about, he has he don't have the powers now, and then we see a giant four-mouthed monster. That's Project Parasite, which is what we saw released earlier. And
Yeah, what the Peacemakers released.
And yeah, it's pretty messed up.
Yeah, and then we cut to meanwhile somewhere in Missouri, and Lex Luthor is talking to a crazy-looking bald-headed guy. He's trying to basically recruit him, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
And Lex says no, and he doesn't want to be. He doesn't want to do that. He doesn't want to work with that. It'd take him away from his family. And then he transforms into Brainiac.
Yeah. Yes, he does.
With some massive chainsaw arms.
And it's like a kid's. It's his birthday party. We see his neighbors and his friends, family. And it's like a very nice Lex. And he talks about how he's seen Lex Luthor throughout the multiverse, and Lex Luthor does this, and he's like, you blah blah blah, and and the guy's like, oh no, thank you, and it is not good.
Yeah, he says, my name is Brainiac, and I am told I can be quite motivating. Let's get started.
And that is where this issue ends. So now we will take it to the third.
I was like, holy crap.
Yeah, no, I was like, holy crap here. I was like, oh, dear God, with the next one. So let's take it down to Paradise City. All right, so the next one starts issue 17, which is basically Parasite reminds me of Ivan Ooze attacking here. And if you don't know who that is, then I am too.
Pretty much in a way, for sure, yeah.
But he's like sucking up other people. And it gets Lois, and she's calling Jimmy. And she looks up, and there's a group of people, and there's Jimmy. And he's like got purple inside him. And he's basically saying, kill me.
Yeah. This Parasite is wild, the way it connects and grows and draws off of everybody connected to it as like this giant hive mind thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just very torturous. Like, he doesn't just drain them and kill them.
No, he doesn't. He like eradicates their mind, because it talks about he feeds off the energy of their like emotion, like their negative emotion. And we get a really interesting shot from above. It has like what, 1, 2, 3, 6 legs with a 4 mouth and maybe a tail.
Well, I mean, it's kind of got this insectoid almost form, but this alien insectoid almost form, but like it blobs out there as well. And Superman frees Lois, and she says it wants you at your most terrified, like your body pumping itself full of adrenaline and endorphins so it can guzzle your energy like a jug of high octane gasoline.
Mm-hmm. And he's just kind of like
what?
what?
It's a living nightmare, which is crazy.
So it is something. I mean, this is a freaky parasite. Like, and then they're Hawkman and Superman are trying to beat it, but then we find out that this is basically a distraction, so that Talia can bust in and take Ra's al Ghul, and we see her come in, and he's basically saying, no, please, no. And she's demanding that we are the mightiest demon's head. You are coming with me. And then he eventually is like, okay. He just kind of gives up, like, okay. Sure, daughter. And Superman saves Lois. But then he decides he's basically going to let Parasite take him. But while trapped inside the mines, he basically visits everybody in like a different form, because now he's in their mind, and this is how he figures out who, what's his face really is. Hawkman. You know, he sees who Hawkman truly is.
Yeah. Right.
Because he calls him out. He's like,
and he does the same thing for everybody. So the only one we get to see is like him in Carter's mind, but he gets to talk. He tells us what's happening, telling Carter what's happening, where he's in everybody else's mind, just like he's in his. And just by making everybody calm down and feel comforted and safe, it has the parasite with them.
yeah. And that's how you do it when you're Superman. But this is when he tells him, like, you know, you work for Lazarus. And this is where we see, while this, the book of poems and everything that was made, for Ra's al Ghul.
For Roz.
Yeah, he leaves it.
Yeah, he does. He leaves it with care, and he does say, "Apologies, Superman, but we are who we are."
So, yeah, it's kind of sad because you thought he was getting to him, but, you know, I guess that's what it is. And he tells.
Yep.
He tells.
But while he was inside of Parasite, oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go for it. You got this.
When he's inside Parasite and he's talking to Carter, he tells him, hold on. Crazy delay. Like, I don't know. Seems like you're not hearing me forever.
Yeah.
And you're cutting out a whole lot.
We apologize, dear listeners. Something's going on. But if you hold tight, James will be right back with some smooth jazz. All right, talk, James. Can you hear me? Talk. If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. Man, we lost James. He'll be back. Now another word from our sponsor. And we're back. That was a great sponsor break. Okay, James, let's finish up this book. What we got?
So yeah, when he's in there, he tells Carter, remember what happened in there, what I said to you. And he says, I know who you work for. I want you to give them a message. Lazarus and everyone like them. You tell them I don't sleep and nothing they have can hurt me. Tell them my senses stretch for miles and I'm as strong as the sun. And you tell them I'm coming. And he says, yeah, I remember. Said and Superman quotes him, the way of this world was written in stone. That's what you said. Like it was something immutable. Afraid of a bit of stone when all this time you could move mountains. Tell the people you work for that I'm not U-Haul, that Superman's not for sale. And Hawkman calls, says, Talia, this is Hawkman.
And then the end of the issue is we're back in Missouri. We see the house, and then we see Lex with his eyes peeled open, his nose open, his mouth, and he says, please stop. And we see blood, and we see Brainiac with his chainsaw hands basically saying, what happens next will be up to you. I hope you won't squander the work we've done today. Seize the opportunity, Lex Luthor, I beg you. Until we meet again, And then we see that Brainiac murdered everybody. And Lex is just falling on his knees. But Brainiac killed everybody. The kids, everybody.
And made him watch the whole thing.
Yeah.
And then, until we meet again, it's like a very Skeletor line.
Yeah, and this Brainiac reminds me, like I said, it reminds me a lot of the New 52 Scott Snyder, Greg Capullo Joker.
Right. I mean, this Brainiac is even darker than that.
Yeah. All right. So our next little cluster of comics today is going to be brought to you by Action. Action Comics. So, all right, James.
Yep. This is continuing the Superboy story while all the KO stuff was going on. And this is Action 1093. And on the front it says notice of foreclosure. We open with Paw opening some mail, and he gets a notice of foreclosure as he's talking to Martha on the phone. And then we cut to Clark and Lana and Pete. They're just hanging out in Smallville, and they see Clark's dad and a bunch of other people in the middle of the day heading up to the bank. There's like multiple families, multiple farms, all getting foreclosed on, all saying they're late on payments, or that they haven't made payments in months. And everybody is, I mean, the guy is clearly a smarmy bank jerk here. I mean, just the way he was drawn and the way he was talking with all his political speech crap, you know, like you knew he was guilty.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Basically, when it comes down to it, like what's going on can be sorted out, but for the most part, it's going to ruin everybody involved because they're going to lose their crops. They're going to lose their animals, all this stuff, because they won't be able to take care of them. They don't have any money for them. They have to leave their property. So it's stuff that could be sorted out eventually, but in the interim, it would ruin them.
Yeah. Sorry, Sailor just came by. But yeah, continue, James.
So while they're in the bank, somebody comes in armed with a gun, hat on and his shotgun, and Pete talks him down. Knows exactly who he is from his eyes, from his voice, from his hat. Talks him down, but you know, and it says Parmenter, the man from the bank, says didn't even press charges. And Clark, as Superboy, kind of, you know, to help everybody out, he ends up flying into an old gold mine, and an old abandoned gold mine, and was able to take chunks of gold. And he did it. He's not stealing it. It's just there for him to find. He's able to use it. But he's using his powers for personal gain. You know, something that he would benefit from. And he's like, it's a gift. It's not. So he's young and he's having a hard time dealing with the fact that he can help and save his family, but and everybody else. But,
which are good lessons.
His parents are more interested in teaching him. Yeah, teaching him a good lesson about what he can do with his powers if he were to begin taking shortcuts in life.
Mm-hmm.
So Superboy ends up helping a lot of people pack and start moving out because their farms are being helping people move out, and somebody doesn't want to leave. He even pulls a gun on the police. Startled him, and that's why he fired. So he wasn't shooting at anybody. He's just telling everybody get off his land. I mean, if your family's lived on land for 6 generations, that's complete and utter bullshit that anybody can take it from you.
Yeah, I mean, unless you're,
that is ridiculous.
If you're the kids from Smallville who somehow are still paying on the farm, I think we got more problems about management, but whatever.
Right. Well, I mean, I know farms the way that they have to invest up front for the year for everything when it comes to equipment, things like that. All of that is an investment that's supposed to pay off on the back end.
Yeah.
But there is no back end right now. So, I mean, at some point you're always kind of invested, and you can lose out on a lot, I'm sure. But yeah, so Superboy ends up going to the main office in Metropolis and wants to talk to Parmenter's boss, and he ends up, he talks to Parmenter's boss, and then he ends up going to the bank in Smallville to talk to Parmenter, and he snoops in his desk. And he tells everybody that there's evidence that he has evidence that there are contracts that he doesn't want, that Parmenter doesn't want them to see with Stag Industries for development, and they were signed 5 months ago. And so Parmenter basically goes and outs himself by getting all of his contracts and anything else, anything from his paper trail to get out of there. And his boss shows up, so like it was all set up so he could get caught.
Yep. Yes, it is. It was really smart. Like, that's the best way for him to do that. And then he becomes a teenage boy and eats. And eats. And eats.
Oh, I can't tell you how many times, and like I don't even know where I've been told or asked, where do you put it? Or asked if I had a hollow leg or something like that.
Yeah, you're like, it just turns to it just what do you call it? It just creates it digests the moment it hits you.
There you go.
God, I can't talk.
And then we end in a place called Medora. And some military people are calling General Lane asking for reinforcements. And next, our Superboy at War.
Yeah, we are. All right, let's get over to Superboy at War. Bring it up. Do-do-do.
Yeah, Superman Action Comics 1094.
I am loving the Action Comics run right now. So, our Superboy at War says Smallville many years ago, and I love that it's like Clark, like looking back on life. You know. So. Yeah. Well, I'm trying to get my tablet to load. That's what happens when your kids take your stuff. But so we have Superboy at the library, and we see him going over to Lana's house and running into Lana's dad. And at this time, Lewis Lane was an archaeologist and anthropologist. I couldn't remember if they told us yet. Like which origin of Lana's family are we going with? But they're studying. Mr. Lang, see, he's watching Superboy hardcore. Okay. And then Superboy was summoned by General Lane. He gets there. He suits up in an army suit with a Superman patch, which I feel like is weird because once you start shifting around his look, I feel like it's an easier way to kind of piece together who he might be. What do you think?
Right. I think that's a viable theory. You know, the more different things or the more plain clothes he's dressed in, even though this is military uniform kind of a deal, you know, it takes away from the heightened like image that he portrays, even as Superboy.
Yep. So he goes, and we find that there are some people being held, and Superboy busts in to save them. And who is it, James?
Silas Stone.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Silas Stone has been taken, forced to like develop a weapon of some sort, and groups of military have gone in to get him out of there, but they couldn't. They've all been taken down. We see that a pilot was killed. Superboy does his best to save people. He gets everybody out, and then he goes back for Dr. Stone and a device that's been like giving him vertigo, knocking out his hearing, you know, kind of messing with him. He can't fly more than a few feet. They turn it up, and it's while he's next to it, it basically kind of incapacitates him at the moment. And he kind of has a realization of his voice, and he tells Dr. Stone to get behind him as he screams at the top of his lungs, which soldiers say they could hear a half mile away. But it destroys the machine and incapacitates everybody in the room, allowing him and Silas Stone to get away. And then he goes back to retrieve the pilot's body.
Which is very respectful of Superboy.
Yeah, it was really cool. I did like that where they drew him take his body and go put it someplace that he could then return for. But we've got his inner monologue as we get through these issues of him saying, like, you know, he had nobody to talk to, nobody to open up about, you know, he couldn't talk to Lana about holding a dead soldier in his arms or anything. And doing that too, that's hard, you know. But it could talking to his mother, to Ma and Pa about that, but and then he considers Pete. Pete is his oldest friend, his best friend, and he considers telling him. He says, and there it was. I'd known Pete since we were 5, and never felt lonely as an only child. We were brothers. So I could tell Pete I was Superboy. I knew I could. He'd never breathe a word, and it would be a huge relief. And after he does save somebody in the campground from some bears, him and Pete go to bed, and he hears somebody calling for help, and there's 2 bears going to attack some campers, and he saves them. He returns back to camp. He says, I could tell Pete, but he says, but what gave me the right? My double identity was already one of the biggest secrets in the world and a massive weight. Who was I to burden Pete with that? Even without even asking him, without his even asking. What kind of a friend would that make me? No, at the end of the day, no matter how much it hurt, I had to do the right thing by Pete. He could never know. And last panel, Truth and Consequences, and Pete rolls over, and he is awake.
And this is a callback to a classic Superboy story right here. So it's really nice that Wade is incorporating things from traditional classic Superboy stories.
Is that the Pete angle, or him
Pete
being concerned about being able to tell other, or like to tell Pete?
Him concerned, but then Pete knowing because of a storm outside while they were camping. So it's just cool that they're doing that.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Superman Action Comics 1095. The King Conspiracy. This was probably the favorite issue of all of them that I read, and everyone was actually pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I enjoyed this. So Pete is staying up. We get Pete's inner thoughts. Can't sleep. I've been best friends with Clark Kent since we were kids. Thought I knew him inside and out, but it turns out Clark has a secret, and now I do too. Something I found out last night by accident, and I can't tell. I can't tell a single living soul that my best friend is Superboy, and he doesn't trust me to know. And right there, kind of gives us the whole. The beginning of it, like the whole story of the issue, where, the whole crux of the issue, where Pete is very disillusioned that his best friend hasn't told him who he is, or thinks he doesn't trust him. So he's very distant. He's very distant with Clark here. He's very distant with Martha Kent and Lana. Even to the point of Lana. The rumors of Lana and Superboy dating, which he knows isn't true, which he knows is not true, and doesn't, and definitely knows that Lana doesn't know either, because of the way she swoons over Superboy.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. So in this, I just like that Pete, all the normal stuff, and it shows like, I mean, this is kind of, you and I being big Smallville fans about how Pete was when he learned Clark's secret, and now he's like trying to cover for him and help him out. But he also feels like Clark should know better, We have Clark, we have where Pete's trying to figure out how Clark got his powers. Do they make him super? The government, military, do they know who Clark really is?
Well, he's like the Kents. I always thought they were kind of boring, but not if they raised Superboys. Did they make him super? Are they scientific geniuses? Are they government agents, military? Did they create Clark?
It's awesome. And then Lana later.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
Ma calls Clark trying to say, "Hey, I'm worried about Pete." But then we have Lana later put super glue on her hand and grabs Pete's hand. And all I can think about is the scene from American Pie 2. And then they have some bullies show up. And, Pete starts fighting back, and Lana gets knocked over the rail. And Superboy catches her, and Superboy grabs the bullies. I love this. Wait, it was an accident, man. I didn't mean for her to. Shut up. You listen to me. If you ever come within a mile of those kids again, if I ever see you threaten anybody, and I will see, you're going to be very sorry. Now get lost. Love it.
Yeah, and then Superboy, because so what was really fun was she super glued her hand to Pete's so that way he couldn't get away, and he needed to talk to her. And she had some nail polish remover to get them loose. She never planned on staying that way, just forcing him to talk. And she says, you know, is this someone doing something bad? No, this is a good person. Wouldn't hurt a fly. Are they in trouble? No. Will knowing cause them any trouble? Not if I can help it. Says, are they treating you any differently? No. Says, why can't you let it go? And then just, you know, saying that people have a good reason, and using something that Pete did in an earlier issue with the character Curtis we see here in this issue earlier, who was getting bullied, but said you kept his secret. And she had made a really good point that people keep secrets because they need to, or they have good reasons to, even if, you know, we can't see them or quite understand them. And so Superboy tells Lana to, you know, fix this gossip of them dating, so that way, you know, people don't come after her for no reason. And that's when he says, yes, I have a private life, and this is exactly why I keep it to myself. If it ever gets out, if anybody ever thinks you know, folks worse than that won't stop targeting you. And I don't need to be worrying about that on top of everything else I have on my plate. So we kind of got the explanation right there with Pete, too. And we get the next morning at school, and Pete's ready to talk to Clark and be friends again, and he had a good night's sleep. Clark invited him over earlier to watch an extended cut of Night of the Living Dead. So Pete says, you want to do that? And then I just love this here at the end. It says, and there it is, that subtle look of anxiety on Clark's face. I've seen it a dozen times, but it never registered. Now I get it. So what if Clark doesn't spill his guts? He's got reasons, and he's entitled to them. I shouldn't have doubted him. He's still my pal. And now that I know what that look means, I don't mind playing the role of the silent partner when I see it. He sees that look from Clark, and he knocks over a container of hydrogen sulfide. Says whoops, knocks it onto the floor, and it's a very gaseous thing, and it smells really bad. And he says, whenever Clark needs a little help, I'm there for him. That's what friends are for, as everybody's outside getting fresh air and Superboy is flying off from the school.
And that's what it is. And that's like that was like a big thing. And excuse me. In old Superboy comics was the fact that Pete did become like this silent partner because he knew and he would help Clark when he could, without Clark ever really knowing or understanding or anything. He just took care of his friend. Yeah,
that's really cool, because to most of my knowledge, in the past, like Clark or Pete has never really known who Clark was in different iterations. I know in like Smallville he did and stuff, but to my knowledge, for the most part, he didn't know. So just to have a story like that, especially one where Clark doesn't even know, kind of like when Chloe was playing that role in Smallville.
Yeah.
Protecting Clark without him knowing that she was.
Yep. All right. The last comic book we have today is, drumroll, Supergirl and Blade. Did you read that one?
Ooh, yeah. Yeah, I did read that one.
I thought you had, because we both talked about it, how we were both like, hey, this is really cool.
Yeah, like that's a fun crossover. That's an idea that, I don't think anybody ever thought of.
And it was weird because it was one of those, what do they call it, like up scrollers? One of the comic books designed to like scroll.
Yeah, what do they call it? They call it DC Go.
Yeah.
it's for like your small. It's primarily for like your smaller mobile device, like your phone or something, where all the panels and everything and the dialogue bubbles are they're different. They're set up differently, and it's just made to scroll through from top to bottom. So it's just one panel and bubble right after the other. Yeah, that's just it. That's the design of it, and it works good on a phone. On a tablet, I think it's a little.
It was odd, but
it's
it
really
worked.
big for something like that.
Um,
It's like when I was reading it on. It's like when I was reading it on the when you read books on the internet, and it's all
Yep.
the pages, and you just scroll down. You know.
Yep. So it was really fun. And basic premise is Mojo needs, content. So he pulls Blade and Supergirl to Mojo World and puts them in a show together. And it's really kind of funny because, it's the dark and brooding man and the overly helpful woman. But then he gives her kryptonite poisoning. And then Blade has to tell her about
to make her more like the damsel.
Yeah, and they're talking and the vampires, and basically what the coolest part is he bites her, and when he says that vampires bite can heal, or can hurt, but can also heal, and basically he heals the kryptonite poisoning out of her, so she gets all of her powers back, and then they destroy Mojo's set and everything. But I think these are awesome, and I'm kind of bummed this wasn't in print. Because I thought this was a random, and it would be big, they would have made it a bigger deal. These, why is this not one of the backups in, I don't know, I feel like these should all be collected in a special Marvel DC crossover thing.
I mean, I think at some point they probably will, because I think they are doing a Marvel DC crossover kind of again. I think it's in the works, and I think that's why we got Batman and Deadpool, and Superman and Spider-Man, and then now this.
Yeah, I mean we got some others like this too last year and stuff, but I'm I wonder if they'll put it in an actual print or something. I don't know, but. This was just a fun read. I would like to see more adventures of these two.
I did like these two together. And I like that it was Supergirl, especially since we're focusing on Supergirl. And, I mean, Blade is really cool, so.
There's only been one Blade. Everyone always want to be one Blade. Actually, no, there's been two Blades, because you had a TV series that nobody watched.
Right. That you didn't star. No, it was funny though to see Kara after she got healed, just to destroy Mojo's studios and whatnot, and force him to send them back, so she'd stop destroying all of his content.
Yep. Mojo is weird ass character. But yeah, that's all we got this month, or this week, not month. Man, I'm tired. But yeah. I am digging these comics. And
sorry for any audio trouble.
Yeah, we had a lot of audio trouble. So if we feel a little out of it, we've had to stop, go, refresh. Not sure what's going on. But we appreciate you guys listening.
Like delays and everything, so.
You guys have a good night. And remember,
look up in the sky!
Thank you for checking out the Krypton Report. Please click our link tree in the show notes to follow us on your favorite social media platform. We have a $1 Patreon, just $1 a month to keep us going. And in return, you get exclusive shows and specials. If you want to join us on an episode, send us an email or message.
Hi, this is David Patrick Wilson. I played Superman, Clark Kent, in the television production of It's a Bird, It's a Plane. Enjoying every minute of being right here on the Krypton Report.